Hi guys, welcome back to the ProTech podcast. This is our third episode and we're going to be talking about balanced use of technology and all things associated with it. I'm TJ and I'm one of your hosts today, and then we also have Raphaela.
Hello.
And Thulasi.
What's up?
So this episode is going to be a little different from our previous episodes because this is our first time meeting together. So this time it's going to be more of a conversation and I hope y'all enjoy it. So a balanced use of technology is what I think it is basically just moderating how much you use technology every day and how exposed you are to a screen, you know, and I think it's particularly important for our younger audience. People listening to this, if you're 10 to 12, just know that our project is for you. So what do y'all think about balanced use of technology and why do you think we should address this as a problem? And do you think it's an addiction?
So I think the thing with technology use and technology addiction, it's not that obvious. Like, for example, compared to drug addiction or alcohol addiction, which is way more obvious and you can see symptoms and signs for it, technology addiction is not that obvious to spot, and it's something that is very prominent in our society, and it's something that we can't really prevent easily. In today's world, everything's digital and it's really difficult to find a balance between our online lives and real lives.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you don't know how to do something, your homework or whatever, like you literally go to Google first, right? You don't consult your teachers or your friends first because everything is on Google. Like, no one goes to libraries anymore, I feel, especially to do research or whatever. Everything is online. Yeah. So I think that's why it makes it so difficult for us to distance ourselves.
Yeah, I feel like over-reliance is also a very big issue that we need to talk about because while technology was created so our lives are more convenient and all that, I think it's important to have something outside of technology as well. And I think a sign of addiction would be your inability to stop using technology and to avoid being bored when you don't have a phone or a laptop. And lots of people are addicted, but just, you know, they don't realize because it's asymptomatic often.
To add on to that, there's an interesting thing that I found out while I was just, discovering myself. So the thing is, I got my laptop my personal laptop in year 3, and I've realized that after getting my own laptop, there's been a change in the way my brain works for some reason. Really? And I feel like once I start using my laptop more and getting more used to a digital life, if you would say, and at this point all my work is online and there's really no paperwork that we do. So I was seeing that my brain starts to get slower, actually. Yeah, no, for real. On the internet and stuff, we're used to just quickly scrolling past things and skipping ads and all that. It reduces our attention span. So that's something I realized because sometimes I'm just talking to my friends and I want to say something and I'm waiting for someone to finish and then I can't remember what I wanted to say.
That happens to me too.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't blame it completely on technology, but I think it has a big part to play in it.
Sometimes I look at a picture and if I can't see something properly, I'll try and zoom in on physical pictures. It's the worst because then I'm oh my god, I am really addicted to technology.
Okay, so since we realized that an internet addiction is pretty asymptomatic, we put out a BuzzFeed quiz called Are You a Responsible Internet User?, which will be linked in the description so you can see for yourself if you're a responsible internet user. And personally, I got 8 out of 11 on that test, so I'm pretty good.
I got 11 out of 11.
Really?
So
yeah.
Are you sure
I got
that
12 out of 11.
Wow.
So moving on, why is it important for us to moderate our digital usage?
I mean, firstly, I think sleep deprivation is a huge issue when it comes to addiction of the internet. I personally experienced this myself. I always find myself using my phone before I go to sleep, and sometimes I use it for 2 hours even. And yeah, it's really bad for my eyes, especially in the dark. Which leads me to our next problem, myopia.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people have myopia? I don't have myopia.
I don't either.
I don't have myopia.
So you have
myopia.
That was a lie. This is a lesson to you to not trust everything you see on the internet. In all seriousness though, myopia is a condition that impairs eyesight and it affects around 65% of the population in Singapore, which is around 6.5 people out of 10. So think about how many of us could have myopia without knowing it.
Oh yeah, I do have a lot of friends who wear glasses.
Yeah. Another consequence of sleep deprivation would be that people become more irritable. with time, and you start getting more annoyed and irritated by simple things that people around you tell you. And this is bad because you could potentially offend someone, or you could end up severing ties with family, friends, or just people you love.
Another thing is that social interactions becomes really difficult because you lose the ability to talk to people face to face, as you're really used to having a screen in front of you and talking to people online.
Yeah, I think that's a problem that people need to realize, that being on the internet isn't a lifestyle, and you shouldn't be translating everything in your life onto the internet, because chances are when you come to school you won't be able to interact with real people and you'll just end up not having real relations. Yeah, so I think it's important to remember that the internet is a temporary space that you create temporary but fun relationships on, but you should also not rely too much on it. Which brings us to our last consequence of technology overusage and over-reliance, which is that the more you use technology and the internet, the more likely you are to face cyberbullying and, get exposed to dangerous parts of the internet, such as inappropriate content and the possibility of getting even sexually groomed on the internet. So yeah, just regulate your internet usage so as to remain safe.
If you would like to know more about the issue of cyberbullying and how it's related to overuse of technology, we've actually covered it in a podcast, and it will be linked in the description below, so check it out.
Okay, so I know y'all might be wondering now, I relate to a lot of these problems. I realize that I actually face these problems as well. So how do I manage this?
Well, we have the solutions for you. So these aren't, 100% guarantee solutions, but I'm sure that your internet usage will reduce significantly once you start adopting these methods. So the first is to just make a list of goals of things you want to accomplish by that day. Since, using the internet often hinders our ability to do anything else in the day, making a clear-cut list of goals that you want to accomplish by the day is more likely to keep you on track than if you don't have a list of goals.
Yeah, I think that's really useful, to have everything that you need to do in a list so you have your priorities straight.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of apps that can actually help you do that as well. You can just use the reminders on your phone to do that, honestly. And you can set alarms, so maybe you're using your phone and then you can set an alarm to stop.
There's the app Cascade for your laptop. Yeah, just to name solid apps that you could possibly use.
Speaking of apps, there are also screen time apps that you can use to actually cut down your technology usage every day. If you're using an iPhone, you can actually check your daily screen time on your settings app, and it's really useful because you can see how much time you actually spend, and you can plan accordingly on how much you want to spend and what you need to cut down on.
Even with that, there are content restrictions as well, so you can limit it to only PG-13 content or whatever, which is very useful.
It's a good method of regulation as well.
And the fact that you're always going to be constantly on your phone, having these inbuilt in your phone would give you reminders like what TJ mentioned, and it'll just help you have a better look on what you have for your day, and it'll just plan your time better. So the podcast is coming to an end soon. I just want to end with a personal experience that I want to share with you guys. So a huge part of finding a balance between your digital activity and living life in the present is being able to have control over your actions and having the right attitude while controlling your habits to bring about change in your life. A lot of times I've heard my friends and others say, but I just cannot, or this is really not possible in various contexts, and I have to admit I do say this sometimes too. This does not only have to be in the context of controlling your digital activity, but it can be applied to anything at all. To have control over your own actions, the first step is to actually believe that you can change and improve. If you're not able to do so, trick your mind into thinking that you believe you can change. Once you have the right attitude for change, you can definitely succeed in anything. Personally, for managing my own screen time, I do not have a set number of hours a day due to the unpredictability of our schoolwork, which relies heavily on technology. So in order to manage my screen time, I often take breaks between when I have work on it and take eye breaks and to just stay away from my screen. And I also plan out my day so that I know what exactly I have to do that day so that my technology usage does not hinder my daily activity. So just like what we mentioned earlier, you could do that by cutting off your technology usage, making a list of the goals that you have, and using alarms and things to remind you.
Wise words, Thulasi. Thank you so much for sharing. So I guess that brings us to the end of our podcast.
Yes, it does. Woo! I hope you all enjoyed this episode of our podcast, and make sure you tune in for more from us, and make sure you listen to our previous episodes as well.
The link will be in the description for all of these and our BuzzFeed quiz too. Make sure to check it out.
Okay, so thank you for listening. Stay safe online and offline.
See you next time.
Woo!